Alright guys, so I'm taking a break from the Corsair for a little bit, and local group that I'm associated with, known as Warbirds West, is getting ready to finish up a Don Smith B24. It's got a 12-foot wingspan, and they did all the building. I thought I would help them a little bit with the finishing, and so I'm getting ready to prime this thing up, and I thought I would show you a bit of how I do that initially. So what we have here, this wing has been glassed and has been lightly sanded, but it's glassed. It's I can't remember, I think it's actually 1 or 1.5 ounce cloth, and I'm getting ready to roll on some primer here and get it filled up. And so I start this process by cleaning. Everything gets cleaned over and over and over again. And so I've already cleaned this wing. This is some stuff called acrylic clean. It's just basically it's automotive de-waxer, degreaser. So I'll spray it on pretty liberally, and you want to rub everywhere. The point of this process is to essentially, these have been handled, and even if you're the only guy building, you've got oils on your hands, maybe a fried chicken dinner. I don't know, but getting paint to stick well is a process that requires your full attention from beginning to end. And so this is just a blank palette right now. It's just a glassed wing, but you want to make sure that it is cleaned and cleaned well, and there are no oils, no finger oils, no nothing on it, so that when I lay this primer on here, it will stick, because that's the base upon which all the color comes afterwards. So this acrylic clean, the de-waxer that I use, and I mean, all automotive stores sell this kind of stuff. This stuff is imperative. I use this constantly throughout the painting process. So once I get the primer on there, I will sand, and I will use acrylic clean. And then just before I shoot more primer, I will use acrylic clean. And. So I'll bring you back shortly for the first priming step. Okay, well, I'm starting to run out of daylight. I wanted to show you the stuff I use. This is old school Laquer speed primer. I get it from Tri-City Paints online. It's from KK Custom Shop. And this is a normal household paint tin holder thing, but I ran out of the replaceable tins, so I just lined it with a trash can. Here's a bunch of the primer. I put a little bit of thinner in there, mixed it up. Alright, we'll see how that goes. 4-inch roller. Get that in there like that. And I mean, literally, we are just rolling paint on. And what this does is it fills the majority of the weave that is left from the glassing process. And so this is just so much quicker and easier than trying to spray primer on and then sand it. Trying to, I don't know what people do, because this is what I do. And this just gets it done so quick. Bam. All right, so hang on. Yeah, so I forgot to show you this part earlier. This is the tail section, and so same kind of deal. I'm not actually going to roll primer onto the flight surfaces, because it's okay for them to have the fabric weave showing through, because on the real one they were fabric. A little bit large and unwieldy. You know, and I'm doing this fairly quick, not only because I'm losing light, but because it doesn't have to be neat and clean. It's not necessarily going to flow out all that well. It's a lacquer primer. It's going to dry very fast. And actually, by the time I get done putting lacquer on one side of everything, I will be able to immediately turn around and come back and put lacquer on the other side of everything. So, but the other reason we don't have to be neat about it is because this stuff sands really, really well. And for the most part, I'm just going to take a double action sander and just sand most of this away anyway. The whole point here is to do something quick and dirty that gets everything filled so that we can move right into the finishing process. And we also want to get down in the hinge lines. Only because I'm kind of anal about that kind of thing, and I want everything, you know, to be as smooth, at least look like it, you know, we're paying attention to some extent. Definitely starting to get dark out here. And I almost forgot that I had the top side of this wing still left to do. So I got just enough light left to do this. This is the last side. I got all the other parts of the tail section done. That was a little bit of a pain because there's so many nooks and crannies in there. And I painted all the hinge lines with a little acid brush and some primer. And again, even in the hinge lines, I put it in heavy. And it might gum up the hinge lines a little bit, but I mean the stuff sands really easy, and there will be plenty of sanding going on tomorrow. to get most of this back off. When all is said and done, this will look like it's mostly balsa wood again. Almost all the gray will be gone, except for what is filling some of the low spots. So, oh shoot! One more thing I almost forgot. Probably ought to do something about these things. Pretty is not important. Relatively thick and heavy, that is important. And I'll always drill these holes out again if I need to, or just use a little file to clean them out. Even though these are on the bottom of the airplane, still got to put a little effort in. Now you can see that, you know, I've got the table out. All these hatches had to come off, which means that some of the servos had to be removed. All the screws have to be put into bags and tagged. It's a process I don't particularly enjoy. It's prep work. I kind of like the painting, but the prep work is probably at least 50% of the effort here is going into the prep work. Look at that. What'd that take? 14 seconds, and the painting part is done. But the prep work took a couple hours to get all of this stuff and all the control horns and the servo arms, and everything's got to go into a bag. All the servo arms for the servo arm for the left aileron and its screws and the ball links and all that kind of stuff has to go into a single bag called left aileron. And the same for both elevators, both rudders, and. It's a big pain in the ass, but it's what's required, and so that we can get to the fun part, which is painting. All right, so that's it. That's me using old school Laquer speed primer and a roller to get the first level of primer on. So we'll talk to you later.